Level 1. The trainee, the boom. You're 24. Stale oxygen sears your lungs before you even blink. You are a trainee, a novice operator sitting in the right seat of the most expensive machine ever constructed by human hands. You have exactly 14 seconds. You are flying at 30,000 feet over the freezing black expanse of the mid-Atlantic. The aircraft is critically low on fuel. If you do not manually stabilize the bomber and connect your dorsal receptacle to the refueling boom of the KC-135 tanker in 14 seconds, the engines will flame out and you will eject into an ocean that will freeze your heart in 4 minutes. A massive, violent pocket of clear air turbulence slams the airframe. A live, catastrophic threat. The 40-foot solid steel refueling boom oscillates wildly, missing the reinforced windshield of your cockpit by less than 8 inches. If that steel pipe strikes the glass, explosive decompression will suck you out of the cockpit. You do not flinch. You do not overcorrect the yoke. You suppress your human survival instinct and execute microscopic millimeter adjustments to the fly-by-wire system. Sitting in the left seat is Vance, an instructor pilot with 3,000 hours in the air. He never raises his voice. He holds a heavy titanium challenge coin with a deep, jagged scratch across the center. He taps the coin against the glass of the altimeter. Tap, tap. Hold the geometry, Vance whispers. You hold the geometry. The steel boom locks into the receptacle with a massive, shuddering thud. Thousands of gallons of aviation fuel surge into the tanks. You survive. You disconnect. You look at Vance. You want the command seat. You believe the radar-absorbent coating is a magical cloak that makes you an untouchable god of the sky. You don't realize it is a suffocating shroud designed to slowly erase your humanity. Meanwhile, Colonel Zhao, Strategic Support Force Air Defense Command, Beijing. He sits in a subterranean concrete bunker illuminated only by the sweeping green glow of a massive radar terminal. He pulls a pristine white silk handkerchief from his uniform pocket. He meticulously wipes a microscopic speck of dust from the glass screen. The Americans are running the refueling tracks over the Atlantic. They think they are invisible, Zhao says to the empty room. He folds the silk. The hunt begins. Level 2. The Copilot. The grid. You're 27. Vibrating composite floorboards completely numb your heavy flight boots. You are the Copilot. You are 22 hours into a 38-hour global strike sortie. You have exactly 90 seconds. The highly classified encrypted GPS matrix has suffered a catastrophic, unexplained signal degradation. If you do not manually recalibrate the Astro-Inertial navigation system using stellar positioning in 90 seconds, the bomber will drift exactly 3 miles off its pre-programmed stealth corridor and violate hostile Iranian airspace. A master caution alarm suddenly illuminates on the center console, burning bright amber into your retinas. A live, immediate, operational threat. A localized surface-to-air missile radar battery is blindly sweeping the sector directly ahead of your flight path. You do not panic. You do not break radio silence. Breaking radio silence is an immediate mission failure. You type furiously into the flight management computer, utilizing the Star Tracker cameras mounted on the roof of the fuselage to lock onto the celestial grid. You calculate the orbital mechanics in your head. Vance taps the scratched titanium coin against the altimeter glass. Tap. Tap. You realign the gyroscopes. The bomber shifts silently 2 degrees to the north. The radar sweep passes completely harmlessly beneath your right wing. You slip through the net. The physical fear of crashing into the ocean has vanished. It is replaced entirely by the crushing, terrifying fear of making a microscopic mathematical error that initiates a geopolitical world war. Meanwhile, Zhao stares at a fleeting, anomalous spike on the long-range early warning radar. It appears for a fraction of a second, then dissolves into the background noise of the atmosphere. He pulls out the white silk handkerchief. He wipes the glass deliberately. A flock of birds does not fly at Mach 0.8 at 40,000 feet. Adjust the algorithms, Zhao orders the junior technicians. The files grow thicker. Level 3. The aircraft commander. The penetration. You're 30. Blinding ultraviolet sun glare violently scorches your unblinking retinas. You are the aircraft commander. You sit in the left seat. You are completely responsible for the $2 billion asset. You have exactly 12 seconds. You are deep inside heavily contested, denied airspace over Eastern Europe during a massive NATO exercise. You are initiating a simulated bombing run. If you do not release the payload and manually command the massive internal bomb bay doors to close in 12 seconds, the aerodynamic profile of the aircraft will be temporarily compromised. A Russian Su-35 flanker interceptor jet breaks through the cloud cover 5 miles off your left wing. A live, catastrophic threat. When the payload doors are open, the B-2's radar cross-section blooms from the size of a bumblebee to the size of a commercial barn. If the Russian pilot gets a radar lock, the stealth is broken and the geopolitical humiliation is absolute. You do not deviate from your airspeed. You press the release sequence, the massive ordnance drops, the bay doors cycle, the hydraulic motors whine in the quiet cockpit. 8 seconds, 10 seconds. The doors snap shut and lock. The radar-absorbent seals engage perfectly. The Russian interceptor banks aggressively, sweeping its radar directly through your airspace. It sees absolutely nothing. You are a ghost. You fly directly past him in the freezing stratosphere. You do not smile. You realize that your survival depends entirely on mechanical perfection. One faulty hydraulic valve equals a blazing fireball on international television. Meanwhile, Zhao watches the live telemetry feed shared by the Russian Defense Ministry. He sees the massive radar bloom appear over the drop zone. 11 seconds later, it completely vanishes from existence. Zhao wipes his glasses with the white silk handkerchief. They opened the chest cavity, and then they stopped breathing. The commander is highly disciplined, Zhao whispers. The profile is building. Level 4. The nuclear certified. The 2-man rule. You're 33. Chemical stimulant pills violently wire your jaw muscles shut. You are nuclear certified. You are operating at the absolute terrifying apex of the strategic deterrence triad. You have exactly 3 minutes. You are 31 hours into a continuous flight. An emergency action message, EAM, begins printing on the encrypted teletype in the center console. If you and your co-pilot do not physically open the dual-locked authentication safe, retrieve the sealed codes, and verify the alphanumeric string in 3 minutes, the launch sequence window closes. Your co-pilot, a younger captain running on zero sleep and heavy dextroamphetamine go pills, begins to hyperventilate, a live, internal psychological threat. The isolation, the claustrophobia, and the sheer terror of the message have triggered a severe panic attack. He refuses to insert his key into the console. You do not comfort him. You do not ask how he feels. The mission is absolute. You reach across the cramped cockpit. You grab him by the collar of his flight suit, pull him inches from your face, and project an aura of absolute, terrifying sociopathy. Insert the key or I will break your wrist and turn it for you, you say. Your voice is completely dead. He trembles. He inserts the key. You turn your keys simultaneously. The message is authenticated. It is a command post drill. You pass the test. You sit back in your ejection seat. You stare into the black sky. You forced a man to simulate the apocalypse. You protect the nation by systematically destroying the psychological fabric of the men sitting next to you. Before we go further, if you've made it this far, comment what career you want to see next. Hit that like button right now and subscribe. We upload every single day. Level 5. The Instructor. The Fatigue. You're 36. Crushing physiological fatigue physically paralyzes your lower spine. You are an instructor pilot. You are teaching the next generation of ghosts. You have exactly 8 seconds. You are 38 hours into a grueling, unrefueled endurance mission over the Pacific Ocean. The human brain is biologically incapable of maintaining focus for this duration. Your student pilot, flying in the right seat, experiences a catastrophic microsleep. His head slumps forward, and his heavy helmet pushes the control yoke directly down. If you do not seize physical control of the aircraft and pull the nose up in 8 seconds, The massive flying wing will enter an unrecoverable aerodynamic dive and shatter against the ocean surface. A master warning klaxon screams in your headset. A live, terminal threat to your life. You snap awake from your own exhaustion. You do not scream at the student. You violently rip the yoke back toward your chest, overriding his dead weight. The G-forces press you deep into the ejection seat as the massive bomber levels out at 14,000 feet. The student wakes up, gasping in pure terror. You do not console him. You look down at the center console. You take out your own challenge coin. You tap it against the altimeter glass. Tap, tap. Hold the geometry, you whisper. You saved the aircraft. But the physical toll is agonizing. You are urinating into a plastic bag, eating paste from an aluminum tube, and operating a nuclear weapon while suffering from severe clinical sleep deprivation. The fear of external enemies has vanished. You are now entirely terrified of your own failing biology. Meanwhile, Zhao sits in the Beijing Command Center. A deep ocean acoustic sensor array detects a massive low-frequency sonic boom anomaly over the Pacific. The sound of a B-2 pulling out of a steep dive. Zhao pulls the silk handkerchief from his pocket. He meticulously wipes the radar screen. The machine is perfect. The human beings inside it are breaking. They are bleeding fatigue. Zhao logs into the encrypted terminal. Level 6, the Shadow Commander. The line. You're 39. High-frequency warning tones violently shatter your eardrums. You are the Shadow Commander. You are executing a highly classified live combat strike package deep inside a sovereign, non-permissive nation. You have exactly 45 seconds. A highly advanced next-generation surface-to-air missile system has unexpectedly powered on directly beneath your flight path. If you do not manually override the autopilot and aggressively alter your stealth profile in 45 seconds, the missile battery will achieve a solid radar lock and blow you out of the sky. The radar warning receiver illuminates with a solid, terrifying red strobe. A live, lethal threat. The B-2 relies entirely on its specific geometric shape to deflect radar waves. You cannot outrun a missile. You must present the absolute narrowest edge of the wing to the radar beam below you. You bank the aircraft precisely 14 degrees to the left. No more, no less. The massive airframe groans under the aerodynamic stress. The lock-on tone screams in your helmet. 30 seconds. 40 seconds. The tone suddenly cuts out. You presented the perfect angle. The radar waves slid harmlessly off the composite skin. You vanish back into the atmospheric noise. You survive. You level the wings. You sit in the freezing cockpit, shaking uncontrollably. You realize that your entire existence depends entirely on invisible geometry. You are a ghost fighting a war against math, and a single degree of error equals a closed-casket funeral. Meanwhile, Zhao stands directly in front of the primary radar console. The tracking algorithm had the ghost for exactly 42 seconds. Then, it dissolved into nothing. Zhao grips the white silk handkerchief. He doesn't wipe the glass. He just stares at the empty green screen. He banked the wing perfectly into the blind spot. He knows exactly how our algorithms breathe. He is a predator, Zhao whispers. Level 7. The first strike, the conventional drop. You're 42. Metallic adrenaline violently poisons the taste of your own saliva. You are executing the first strike. You are the opening move of a massive kinetic war. You have exactly 15 seconds. You are holding the crosshairs over a heavily fortified subterranean command bunker. You are carrying a 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator. If you do not release the weapon in 15 seconds, the enemy command staff will evacuate through an underground tunnel. You zoom the synthetic aperture radar in on the target. A civilian school bus is parked directly across the street from the primary ventilation shaft. A live, soul-crushing ethical threat. The blast radius and the seismic shock wave of the bunker buster are absolute. If you push the button, the bunker is destroyed, but the children mathematically die in the collapsing street. You look at the coordinates. You look at your Copilot. He looks down at his lap. The burden of the strike is completely on your shoulders. You run the horrific sociopathic arithmetic of war. If the command staff escapes, thousands of Allied soldiers die on the beaches tomorrow. You exhale. You press the release button. The massive bomb drops, physically jolting the entire aircraft upward as the weight leaves the bay. You close the doors. You do not look back at the radar. You fly 18 hours back to Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. You land the plane. You fill out the maintenance log. You drive home in complete silence. Nobody cheers. Nobody throws a parade. You incinerated a city block. And now you have to mow your front lawn. The psychological disconnect is absolute. The fear of dying is entirely gone. There is only an absolute, crushing, inescapable guilt. You are the monster you feared you would become. Meanwhile, Zhao watches the live satellite battle damage assessment. The underground bunker is completely vaporized. A crater exists where a city block used to be. The ghost was there and nobody saw it coming. Zhao takes the white silk handkerchief, folds it precisely into a square, and places it in a locked drawer. He turns off his terminal. He requests early retirement. The Phantom 1, Level 8, the impossible choice, the Brink. You're 45. Cold, acidic sweat permanently glues your undershirt to your spine. You are on a nuclear deterrence patrol. The nightmare scenario has finally arrived. You have exactly 60 seconds. A valid, fully authenticated emergency action message has just decrypted on the secure channel. It is a direct launch order from the National Command Authority. The world is ending. If you do not turn your launch key in 60 seconds, the thermonuclear payload remains in the bay and the retaliatory strike fails. You open the safe. You extract your key. Your co-pilot, a decorated major with 3 children, stares at the printout. He refuses to touch the safe. A live, catastrophic internal threat. He is begging you to wait, begging you to question the authenticity of the order, arguing that it must be a system error. The protocol is absolute. The 2-man rule requires both keys. If he does not turn his key, the weapon is dead. You do not argue with him. You do not debate the morality of global annihilation. You unholster your federally issued 9mm sidearm from your survival vest. You point the barrel directly at the center of your co-pilot's forehead. Turn the key, or I will put a bullet through your skull and turn it myself, you say. Your voice is completely, terrifyingly hollow. He looks into your eyes. He sees absolutely no hesitation. He reaches into the safe. He inserts the key. You turn them together. The weapon's arm. The bomb bay doors open. A red light flashes. The message updates. It was a localized, highly classified snap drill initiated by Strategic Command to test compliance. You decertify the weapons. You close the doors. You holster your weapon. You fly 8 hours back to base in absolute horrifying silence. You proved your loyalty to the state, but you realize the ultimate truth. You were completely willing to execute your own brother in a freezing cockpit to initiate the apocalypse. You are a fully weaponized sociopath. Level 9. The Wing Commander. The Fleet. You're 49. Aggressive, sterile air conditioning instantly freezes your exposed neck. You are the Wing Commander. You no longer fly the missions. You dictate the operational reality of the entire stealth fleet. You have exactly 5 minutes. You are sitting in a secure briefing room at Whiteman Air Force Base. A critical, microscopic flaw has been discovered in the environmental control systems of the B-2 fleet. If you do not ground all 20 aircraft in 5 minutes, a catastrophic fire could destroy a bomber mid-flight. The secure phone on your desk rings. It is the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, relaying a direct order from the Commander-in-Chief. A live, bureaucratic threat to your career. The President demands a highly visible global show of force over the Pacific within 24 hours to deter a foreign adversary. If you refuse the order, you will be relieved of command and your military career ends in disgrace. If you launch the fleet, you are mathematically risking the lives of your pilots and the loss of national strategic assets. You look at the phone. You look at the maintenance report. You think about Vance. You think about the men sitting in the freezing dark right now. You pick up the phone. The fleet is grounded. The mission is scrubbed, you say firmly. You hang up the phone before the general can scream. You end your own career to protect the men you trained. You realize that true command is not about dropping bombs. True command is about having the absolute moral courage to stand in front of the political machine and absorb the bullet meant for your pilots. Level 10. The veteran. The silence. You're 55. The absolute crushing silence of your immaculate suburban living room violently destroys your ringing eardrums. You are retired. You have a full military pension, a shadow legacy, and a meticulously manicured front lawn. You are physically safe. You are legally untouchable. The 40-hour flights are completely over. But you are suffering from a profound, agonizing clinical psychological disease. Absolute anhedonia. The human brain is biologically incapable of surviving the continuous massive sensory deprivation and isolated trauma you subjected it to for 30 years. Standard baseline reality is physically unbearable to you. Food has absolutely no taste. Civilian conversations are agonizingly slow, petty, and completely devoid of stakes. You sit in a heavy leather chair in the dark, staring at the muted television screen. You open your scarred, trembling palm. Resting on your skin is the heavy titanium challenge coin with a deep, jagged scratch across the center. Vance's coin. You recovered it from his widow after he died of aggressive cancer 5 years ago. You tap the coin against the glass of your coffee table. Tap, tap. You realize the ultimate, horrifying truth of the professional stealth pilot. Did Vance know the launch order wasn't a drill on his last flight over the Pacific? You still don't know the answer. You will never know. The enemy didn't beat you. You beat the enemy. But the cost of the absolute mathematical perfection was the total eradication of your own soul. The military systematically broke you down, forged you into a cold, unbreakable ghost, threw you into the black sky for 40 hours at a time, and then simply grounded you when the airframe got too old. You sit in the crushing, silent void of your own perfection, waiting for a dawn that feels completely empty. You were never on the radar. That was always the point.